Good day, folks. Today I have Yash Puri with us from Papa Penguin, and today we're just going to talk about the first concept, which is about balancing work life and family life. Thank you, Yash. So I'm just going to go with the first question. So that is in regards to what are the key tips you can offer new fathers out there who are trying to balance that work and family life?
I think a key thing for me is I've always been a perfectionist, and that's a fault in its own because trying to be perfectionist, you can kind of beat yourself up when things don't go to plan. And I think I had to very quickly evolve as an individual when my first child came in my life, in our life, and then subsequently my second. And I think the motto I've got now, and especially in today's circumstances, what's happening in the world, is there's no need to aim for gold standards, right? Bronze is good enough, and I think that's a mentality which I think has really helped me making sure I do what I need to do as a father and not beat myself up in terms of if I don't think I'm doing what I should be doing. Um, and also in terms of my work ethics, I've just got to do the best I can. And I think the tip in terms of that for new fathers, it is overwhelming. It's all new change. I think the first couple of weeks, it's kind of, you're working and trying to work out what's going on in this haphazard new lifestyle. It's just taking a step back and reflecting in terms of what kind of parent do you want to be, number one, and what standards are you going to tell your organization or your boss or your colleagues in terms of how you're going to be perceived or how you want to work going forward. And that kind of changed when I became a father. I made it quite clear that a couple of days a week I will be working from home. I'm not going to be in the office 5 days a week. And the reason I advertised it is because I want to go and do the nursery drop-offs and the pickups. I want to be there for my children. I think it's important for them to kind of see that father role model. So I think the simple answer to your question is aim for bronze. Don't aim for gold. Don't try to be perfectionist because you can't perfection being a father and working at the same time. It is challenging, and you've got to enjoy it and embrace it at the same time. If you're not enjoying it and you're stressed out, there's something wrong in the system, and you've got to really reflect on that.
Perfect. And as you just explained, it can be quite stressful time raising kids up, right? So how important is that me time? Like even like within your life, do you still take some time out for yourself? Is that how vital and important is that?
It's so crucial. So myself and my wife, we make sure we schedule time as a couple, because relationships are put at stress when you've got small children and you don't have much dedicated time as a couple, and most of your life as a couple where just you and your partner. And then when you get new additions in the family, you've got to work and carve out time to make sure that relationship is still there and invested in. But then also, to your point, you've got to make sure as an individual you're getting what you need. And I follow my passion. So I love just having my time in my gym in the garage, which I've converted now. Got rid of all the junk. And before my child came, I made a promise to myself that I was going to make it into my space, my man cave, where I can go there in the evenings, put my strobe lights on, black it out, and just train and listen to my music. And it's 90 minutes of my dedicated time. And when you find the day stressful, you always know you've got your time coming up, and that keeps me going. I know it can be painful at points, and it's also very enjoyable with the children. But that you can't let the pressure build up inside you, otherwise you'll pop. And therefore, just knowing in the back of my mind that I've got a scheduled time for myself. Once the kids go to bed, the wife will do her yoga, and I'll go and do my gym. And then after that, we'll reconnect and have dinner together. And it's absolutely crucial, because if you don't do that, you're not going to operate the way you want to operate. And that's where people start tripping up. They don't give themselves time. They don't give their relationship time. And that impacts raising your children, because you're tired and you're not in the right frame of mind. And actually, it can impact how you bring up your children at the same time.
Definitely. Thank you. And so can you tell us more about Papa Penguin? It's really exciting. And how did you come about it? And where do you see this going in the future?
It just kind of happened organically. I had no vision to create anything like this. So I took shared parental leave last year. So before my youngest turned 1, I took 3 months out of shared parental leave. great time, spent time with him and my daughter, while my wife was also there, but also she focused on some of her key interests that she didn't have time to do because she was the main parent at home while I was at work. And I actually wanted to challenge the norm, and I didn't have many people in my network or in my community that actually took time out. And I think that's because you don't hear many stories about people taking time out, and not just people, I think fathers in particular, right? If you look at the shared parental leave stats when it was introduced in 2015, 2% uptake. Now it may be getting better now, but there's a reason behind that. Financially it's not viable. I had to take unpaid leave to do it, and that was challenging. But I thought the investment was far greater in terms of spending that time with my children. And so what happened at the back of that, while I was spending time with shared parental leave, I put something on LinkedIn to my network saying, I'm doing this, I'm enjoying it, I'm loving it. A BBC journalist got hold of me saying, would you be willing to talk about your experience of shared parental leave? We're doing an article on it. So I had an interview with BBC News, and then next thing I knew, I was on the BBC Business page, millennial fathers demand better parental leave. And I didn't realize I'm a millennial, right? A lot of people who saw that saying, he's not a millennial, he's got so much grey hair, he can't be a millennial. But that article basically kicked off something quite interesting. I got so many direct contacts from other fathers who said, wow, amazing, I want to do that. You are so lucky that you can do that. I wish I could do that. And I started realizing, actually, people are not educated. This is a legal right. You can take it. It's not about luck. It's not about having a friendly employer. If you want it, you request it and you'll get it. Your organization cannot deny it. You've got to give them 8 weeks notice and you can take shared parental leave. And so as I started getting people contacting me, I thought, I want to share these positive stories. There are people who've done this before and they said, I've got a story, I would love to share it with you. And then I was sitting down home one day just thinking, I've got this collateral, I've got to do something with it. I was watching David Attenborough, Dynasties on BBC iPlayer one evening. And the episode was the penguin episode, where the father penguin sits there for 3 months looking after the egg while the mother penguin goes off to feed her stomach and get herself sorted out for when the baby arrives. And I thought, what a brilliant role model, for me. Who was my role model in terms of a father role model saying, I want to be like that? There wasn't really anyone. If I look at my own father, different generation, they came to this country, worked in factories and worked every hour that God sent to kind of pay the mortgage off. He would love to spend time with me. In actual fact, he was the one reading us bedtime stories while mum was doing nights in factory. So actually, my dad was very hands-on in that respect. He'd be there in the evenings. He didn't take time out. He couldn't afford to. So I couldn't look at my father as a role model from that sense. I looked at him as a role model in terms of he spent time, given the circumstances. And I had to look at the animal kingdom to get a role model, right? I had to look at a penguin to inspire me and say, you're great. You're a great dad, right? And then the name just came, Papa Penguin. I thought, yeah, why not create something, a simple domain website over the weekend? I should put it together, created some schedules in terms of getting stories published out there. And then I just got dads sharing their positive stories, communicating that. And yeah, the rest is kind of history. So it kind of mobilized in November 2019. And yeah, a lot of things have happened on the back of that. So BBC Radio got hold of me, part of the Dads panel, which I got involved in. So on a monthly basis, I'm part of the Dads panel now with BBC Asia Network. CIPD, which are major, human resources organization. They got hold of me in terms of focus groups. So it was just surprising in terms of something which was just a thought watching BBC iPlayer, and trying to relate to my experience, just exploded. And there's so much information out there which I wasn't aware of. I think there's a lot of fathers doing what I'm doing. I'm not thinking unique. I'll say that now. There's other fathers, other blog sites out there. But I think for our Asian community, I don't think there's much out there. We are brought up by our parents and we've seen them work. That's our ethic, yeah? Work and be successful. There is nowhere in that formula that says to you, take time out and relax, because our parents couldn't do that. So when I was growing up and looking at my peers, it's just workaholics, right? And so I wanted to break that norm and say, I want my kids to look at me when they're older saying, Dad, that's nothing special, taking time out. Everyone does it now. And so I just want to kind of create a mini movement in terms of just people sharing positive stories, not moaning and groaning about how challenging life is. I get all that. I don't want to hear about that in a harsh way. I want to share positive stories so others can be inspired and do the same thing.
Excellent. Thanks, Yash, and I wish you all the best on your journey with Pepper Penguin.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.